Guys, Tuesday. Yeah, Chuck, but the video was made on Monday, so stuff it. What are we looking at today? Gonna look at a couple of things, but when we get around to the beer, I don't know, it's like, why actually do a brew review on a brew review channel? We're gonna be looking at the Piper's IPA from Cellar Brewery, from my big brother, Paul, Hazman 440. But before we do that, I want to show you guys something, and trust me, like always, when I say, if I was going to rip on it, I would, and I don't give a flying shit who sent it to me or made it. I'd give special detail to anything from Chuck, but miles wait around to watch Jesus walk on water, or Moses who, yeah, Jesus, let's say, Moses did the parting of the water. I'm sure Chuck can do that too. Probably have seen over at Pete's channel, the Armory channel, that he's been working on making some holsters. Well, kind of like why a lot of business start, because you want something and nobody has exactly what you want, so voila, all of a sudden ingenuity starts another business. Or in the case of Pete, you're just a whiny little bitch that can't get what you want, so you just go out and make it. Either way, it's a business. So Pete sent me one of his holsters, and I just know, just knowing Pete, that if Pete's going to do something, for himself, it's probably going to be pretty decent. And then, if Pete's going to actually do something for somebody else, you know the attention to detail is going to be there. Now, why am I showing you this? First of all, you have to know that as of this point in time, he's still evolving the process, working out the bugs, and getting things set the way that he likes it. But he wanted a little, hands-on, what do you think? And I said, okay, fine. He doesn't have a shit ton of, either he has to use his gun or those blue guns, and those blue guns are not cheap. As a matter of fact, I believe the blue gun for a high point is actually more expensive than the high point. Ba-doom-boom? Probably true. So Pete said that I'll send you one for your Glock 23. And the first thing I did, obviously, is look at it, because like a few of us, I have a box in there literally filled with holsters. Some I use every now and then, some I don't. Every now and then when guys are here, if I happen to have something, just take it. But I'd rather it gets used as opposed to just sitting like all of Chuck's stuff. So right off the bat, I like the way the holster looks. Attention to detail. A few key points for one is, when you get a holster, I've gotten holsters from companies. I mean, these are companies, not just some dork in his basement that decided to start making holsters. He has these edges so polished off, you cannot even see the seam between the two layers of Kydex. Again, I don't do Kydex. I know if he was here right now, he's probably going to be screaming at his computer what gauge this is. It's a very heavy gauge Kydex. One of the things that he pointed out that I didn't even realize until I looked at a bunch of other holsters is he does not like to have the mag release covered, so that the holster can't ever possibly pinch on it and eject your mag. I wanted one with the full sweat shield, basically to protect the gun from me. The retention on this is exactly what I like. I have some that are a lot less, and I have a couple that are a lot more, but you know, we could do the dance it upside down all day long and it's not going to fall out of this. But on the other hand, if these were clips instead of belt loops, it would never, you would never draw the holster out with you. So I don't want to spend a lot of time, because I am going to do a more you know, thorough review over at the other channel. But I just wanted to give you guys a first look. I brought a couple comparisons out. Two of the companies that I really like. First of all, Jesse, the owner of Forest City Tactical, veteran. He's a good guy, trying to stay up on top of things. I think they looks like they're using the same gauge. Again, the polishing, exactly what Pete is doing. And then maybe as far as artistic work goes, AC, the Armed Civilian 5.56. It's just, he's got kind of his own thing going, but this is a guy that's been doing it a long time, and God, I hate to admit it, but Pete actually has his corners polished even more. Oh, and you know, I was like, Pete makes it so that basically what holds this gun into the holster is the trigger guard area, so that the holster is not rubbing on the gun as you draw it. So over time, it's going to keep your gun from getting all marred up. So ArmorGuard is what he calls the company, and that is one of the I guess kind of early on examples, and so I am pretty sure he's only going to get better. He's using good stuff. So thanks, Pete. Like I said, I wore this Saturday and Sunday, and the only thing that I probably should have done is I had this is usually my backup mag, and I would have probably been doing the old whale tail a lot less if I went to have the bigger mag in there. But you know, you guys that know me know I am not really a fan of the outside the waistband. I love the inside the waistband, and I know Pete's got a couple of guns that he wants to hook me up with. I look forward to giving them a try. But for an outside the waistband holster, it's honestly top notch. Okay, beer chat. Now, gun chat out of the way. The IPA. I don't think my bitch Jim has opened up a beer lately. Oh yeah, looks something like that. I don't want to piss off HempSeedAddict. She's already pissed off because she broke her glass. Of course, if it had an apple on it, I probably would have broke it intentionally. I'm just kidding. Definitely good carbonation on this one. Got that, what was it, a 7.3% by volume. Nice to see, picking it up on the alcohol. It's got like a deep amber color. Oh, you can already tell. It's probably got good signs that it's probably going to be pretty good, because it's got those big lofty bubbles, and it's taking the color of the beer up with it. Oh, it's scientifically been proven that beers that do that are generally pretty good. Citrus. It's like some kind of a sweetness. Tropical fruit sweetness. It smells like an IPA. And you know why this is good? Because it's an IPA. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know what I'd choose. Okay, guys. Cheers to your Tuesday, regardless of when you're watching this. Oh yeah, Daddy likey. Again, with the Cellar rats, their beers all have a heavier mouthfeel to it. We don't need to discuss that any more than we did yesterday. I don't know. I don't know why. Because if you're getting the flavor and the characteristics out of the beer, maybe it's just me, but I think that level of viscosity that Cellar Rats puts in their beers is like perfect. It doesn't seem watery. I mean, I've had beers that had like all the flavor in the world, but they just, for some reason, there's just like a subtle turn off by that really watery characteristic, which they're just like, they've nailed it on every single one of these. Watch, then I get to the one that really should be the stand the fork up in it, and it won't be, but I'm pretty sure they probably are. So the mouthfeel being like a light heavy or a medium light is spot on. I mean, that's awesome. Get the citrus. No, it's I didn't even know how some of the beers pull that off, but some of them, you know, you really get that really pronounced, you know, the grapefruit part of it. This one is just more of that citrus hit, that citrus presence to it. I don't know. The one I gotta find somewhere where somebody has it and I can, you know, pay to have it shipped or something. It's been since Sonoran Desert Prepper sent me that Piney the Elder. And Paul, yes, I got that email of was it the top 10 or top 15 best beers, and it was kind of cool because I've had quite a few of them on there, and I've passed up, what was it, like the top 3 were all New Glarus, and they were all like flavored beers. I mean, New Glarus is easy for me to get. That stint I did a few out of town impromptu from the hotel room, and some of these places in the middle of Wisconsin, about the only shit you can. I mean, that's their idea of craft. It's the only thing you're gonna get. I mean, in a lot of places like that, they don't even have. There's not even a liquor store. It's because, unlike the shithole Minnesota, you know, you can't get your high-end stuff in anything but a liquor store. I can go get weak-ass beer at a convenience store. It's just, you never get anything ever like this. It's all like 3-2 piss. But yeah, that surprising, that New Glarus. But so you get the citrus. I would say that it's probably bordering on the grapefruit, but it has kind of a piney grapefruit. It's kind of like pulling a little bit of both. There's an overall that sweetness to it. You're getting that like sweet, almost like a caramel-like sweetness, and it's kind of like always there, but it's kind of like embedded in that heavier characteristic that it has. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a down-tuned Bell's Hop Slam. And I don't know how it happened, but I never saw them here this year. I don't know. I had to have missed it. Last year's was pretty decent, better than the year before. But it has a lot of that heavier mouthfeel, the heavier characteristics, the citrus bomb without being overly done in one direction or another. The sweetness, of course, with Hop Slam, it's a honey based, which I'm not sure if it is being based on like tropical fruits kind of thing. It definitely isn't kind of giving it away. It's more like almost like a caramel buttery kind of a sweetness. Then it's got a dry bitter area, done up the way I kind of like it. And the finish doesn't really come at you with that bread or the biscuit. It's almost more like a buttery, yeah, almost like a buttery slight, that caramel, like roasted caramel, kind of like that in the background, but just kind of like a buttery citrus. Maybe just a little bit of the bread or the butter, but definitely. Of course, you know, I like that bread or that biscuit finish, but this is a nice change. It's definitely like a little bit different dimension than some of them. Oh, and Paul, you don't know how badly I just wanted to break in, and these last two, the stout and this one, oh yeah, just drank them both last night. Just kidding. I wanted it to be coming at you shocking and original. Mostly shocking. Where's that bitch Hornet Fixer? Open my beer, you slut. Let's put a little finesse on it. We don't have to wait for the head. .3%. You do, you do right in that dry, bitter kind of middle area. Do notice a little bit of the alcohol warming. And if Pete, you're still here by now, this is. We talked to him today, and I told him, I said, I'll probably mention it in the brew review, and he's like, oh yeah, you should review Corona and get a big container of lemons. I guess I have encouraged people to do requests, if I could find it. Tardisius wanted me to look at Coors Light. I did. It's actually, for a light beer, not all that bad. You know, when I was drinking nothing but like Busch and shit like that all the time, and remember having a Corona, I remember it wasn't all that impressive, but after actually having some high-end stuff and then switching back to it, I wasn't really disappointed. So, I do not believe I have ever reviewed a Corona. I suppose, for His Majesty, I'll throw that on the agenda, to review Corona. Might as well just do both of them back to back, the same review, Corona and Corona Light. And I'll have to get a bushel basket of lemons. Asked him if he ever had, Pete again, asked him if he had ever had a really good dark beer, and he mentioned Guinness. And I know, of course, we're all friends, so, well, there's been a few times where I've lost friends because of my political views, but say la vie. sometimes I realize some people, their holy grail or whatever of beer is Guinness. But I will stand behind what I've said before, and I'll say it again. Guinness is probably the thickest, darkest, most tasteless beer I have ever had. And I've tried to explain to my little buddy Pete over at the Armory channel that if he wants to come up to the shoot, or if I ever get the opportunity to go out and visit, I will try to hook him up with some better examples of quality beer than Moosehead, Corona, and Guinness. Coincidentally, I don't think I've reviewed any of the three of them. There's been versions of Guinness, but not the one that he drinks. That's the epitome of being Irish. Of course, he's not Irish either. This is actually 2 pork chops in a glass. Okay. On the E scale. Where do I put the Piper's IPA? I'd say overall, I guess it's not really fair to say it should be a little bolder of this or a bolder of that, because then it would be an Imperial IPA. Overall, as an IPA goes, I'd have to say that I would say that the Piper's IPA from Cellar Brewery is a 9.5. These are very tasty, and they've got that IPA edginess. If you're IPA curious, I don't necessarily know that this would be the one that I'd start you on, but we could do worse. We could do worse. Oh, I didn't mention it in the gun chat part. This is the guide rod, and guide rod spring, and guide rod, for the lack of terms, I don't know what they call it, the guide rod housing that is out of the Rock Island. And one of the things, I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera or not, that scratch, that is from inserting it into the slide. And I would say that side is a normal example of how it's supposed to look. And see this side, which is all peened over, I believe what was happening, and it sits just like this. That actually faces down, so it sits just like this. I believe somehow it was getting cocked at a little bit of a downward angle, and it was causing the spring to bind up and actually not compress. And by not compressing would stop the slide from going forward. The reason I'm giving you an update on all this is I sent out my email explaining that I knew Chuck from my Hollow Point on YouTube, and that if I didn't get some fucking satisfaction, that there'd be some hell to pay. And I just kept throwing Chuck's name out there, my Hollow Point, and just to drive the point across, like, I'm a big effing deal, because I know this guy on YouTube. And no, just kidding. I just told them the issue was that I was going to have a couple guys over in a couple of weeks, and I was a little disappointed because I wanted to have this gun be available for some people to shoot, and that I thought that the culprit was probably not the guide rod, but at a bare minimum a new spring and this, as opposed to having to send the whole damn gun back into them. And I got an email this morning, relatively early, so I don't know if, yeah, something's wrong. These people don't sleep over there, but they said that they had come, that they wanted to know my full shipping address. So I'm hoping that they send me at least this. I think if I replace those two items, that we may be able to get this gun back up and functional. And if this doesn't solve it, then it's just all going to have to go back. But there's definitely something wrong with that that guide rod spring housing assembly. So that's the update. That's the update on that. And I have not talked to a single person that has ever had a problem with Rock Island Armory's service. I understand that they are just honestly second to none, and that was even confirmed with Pete. He said that they are absolutely top notch. He actually gave me a name of a guy if I actually needed to talk to one of their gunsmiths in particular. But to be totally honest, in my plight of looking up forums and discussions, I did not see a single unsatisfied customer that ever had to deal with Rock Island Armory's service. Not a single person. And as a matter of fact, I would have to be honest when I say I'm more or less a fluke in even having a problem with the gun in the first place. It seemed like if there was ever anything that bordered on a problem with their pistols, it was the 10mm. And I don't doubt it. It is a beefy round. I mean, there's just no way around it. It'd be cool if you guys have heard of Coolin Arms. They make a 1911, which is completely theirs because you have to make everything bigger to accommodate the round, but they make one specifically chambered in 357 Magnum. And other than the cool factor, which it's still not even all that, I think you can get one for under $1,400, but as far as the cool factor goes, I can honestly say, yeah, it'd be cool to have one just to be able to say you've got a 1911 chambered in 357 Magnum. But in all honesty, I would rather have a gun chambered in 10mm than 357 Magnum any day. It's just you guys that have never had a chance to shoot one, that will be here for the shoot. Even if the Rock Island isn't going to be functional the day of the shoot, we still have the Smith & Wesson, the absolutely incredibly awesome Smith & Wesson 1006, and then the purpose-built Beast Glock 20 chambered in 10mm. So there's always that. So I will remind you that tomorrow will be the last installment from Cellar Brewery, but not the second to the last, from beers from my good friend Paul, Hasman 440. And this is the Black Rat Imperial Stout. And this one is going to be the top dog on the alcohol percent, coming in at 9.2%. And this is the one that I have been looking forward to. I don't even know why I have the other one in the refrigerator, because it's just been a twofer kind of thing. So, again, thank you, Pete, with your and your future venture here, ArmorGuard holsters. Like I said, he's working on perfecting it. So as of this moment in time, He is not taking orders. He's just trying to work out the bugs, use some of us as guinea pigs. And how much will I use this holster? I don't know. That's, again, I really like the inside the waistband, which he also is making, but I actually don't have very many holsters for the 23, and I would definitely be using that one again. So yeah, but only in the driveway. Only in the driveway. Chuck sucks. Chuck fucking sucks. See you tomorrow.